We had peace at last, but in one day it happened, the day that the Japanese turned in their flag. But what an adjustment to make with so short notice. The Army chair strategist in Washington knew they had a monumental problem in turning millions of GIs into civilians with the job market collapsed as a result of the war plants shutting down. There were no jobs for the returning veterans. You know what? And I'm one of them. They started making jobs. They created gas stations, opened them up, bought a backhoe and started digging foundations for home builders, started a roofing business, started a deli, made backyard swimming pools, made trampolines, started manufacturing hang gliders, built airplanes, and the list goes on and on. Most of these endeavors were connected with some skill they had picked up in the service. I had hoped to go into aviation, but that industry tanked right after the war. I invented for you ladies, a lightweight ironing table. Gone from flying, being a pilot. At that time, research showed that the ironing tables were heavy wood or made of a lot of iron and were at one height. If you were a tall person, you had to lay down to iron. If you were a short person, you had to iron up here. So I invented an ironing table that was adjustable and light, and it worked. I sold thousands of them. And by what I mentioned earlier, how things leveled out, somebody in the Midwest picked up the thing and could make them cheaper than we could make them in Jersey, and so I went out of the ironing table business. That had one connection. It had one connection to aviation. I named the luxury model the B-29, which is the airplane that I tested and fought in combat and flew 30 missions in. In this great idea, the fundamental right of each one of us to live our lives as we choose to live it, and the economics and political infrastructure that this great idea requires, distinguishes America from the rest of the world. It is a source not only of our prosperity, which is unparalleled, but also of our dignity as human beings. So when President Obama says government can and should do for you because it makes our society fair, he is wrong. I have been on this earth 92 years. I've seen a few things. And one thing I know is this: you cannot expect to run a society of people and at the same time ignore human nature, which means that you cannot love both big government and individual liberty, free liberty. You can't live in a nanny state and be free. To ignore this simple truth, erode the checks and balances that have served us so well will cost us dearly. We have sacrificed too much as a people and as individuals to not defend our legacy as uniquely free people. And I thank you for the opportunity of giving you some of my ideas.